Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Lynette. Today we're going to talk about setting healthy boundaries without guilt. Now, I know and you know how insulted people get when you express to them that something they're doing is affecting you in a negative way. So we need to think of a way to address this and not have it so obvious that people are offended. Because along with everything else that we talked about, when people get offended, then you have to put up with their drama or their passive aggressiveness, which if they choose to be that way, you can't help it. Again, you need to set a boundary for that type of behavior around you because it does affect you. It affects me. I gotta admit, hopefully no one will do it to me, but I don't like the silent treatment. I think it's cruel. And I think if you love someone or care about someone or even like someone, then why would you want to hurt them? You can go along with them, go with whatever they say, be their friend, be their relative, their lover, whatever. But then they do one thing wrong and you're going to punish them silently. Why would you want to punish someone in such a negative, harmful, hurtful way? In fact, this is just my personal opinion. But if somebody gives me a passive-aggressive attitude or the silent treatment, to me that is grounds for cutting them off. Because what they're saying is whenever you don't agree with them, they're going to punish you silently. And that's what it is. It's silent punishment. There's all kinds of things that people do that they can do to each other. But if somebody's going to have that behavior, I wouldn't consider them a real confidant, a real friend, because they only are that way so long as everything is going their way, so long as you're being the person that they want you to be. Which brings us to what this episode is about weeding out those people, especially weeding them out without them even knowing it. And that is setting healthy boundaries. And as time goes on, I'm realizing how important it is to set those healthy boundaries. We have one life. Let's enjoy it. So if somebody is going to come in and interfere with your happiness, you want to and you need to be strong enough and feel good enough within yourself to let them know there are limitations. Because what it is, it's a lack of respect. And you deserve to be respected. And I know it's not easy. I can sit here and say it to you, but I have someone right now that talking over me when I'm saying something that maybe she doesn't agree with. I'm not sure if it's deliberate or if it's my cellular phone, to be honest with you. I really don't know. So until I'm sure, I don't want to say anything. But this person has mentioned to me that somebody else does that to her. And I'm thinking, isn't that ironic how people will see what other people do to them, but they don't seem to notice what they do to other people. Along with people saying things that might affect your mood is your own thoughts. They can be just as intrusive as somebody else on the outside can be. And so therefore it goes full circle. We need to train people how to treat us, including our own thoughts. And we need to train ourselves. But for the sake of this podcast, first we're going to talk about setting boundaries for other people. I've done indirect boundaries. Certain people I don't call as often, or I call when I know it's limited, or I have to be in a certain mood or stay away from certain conversations because I know what their behavior is. I know where they're going to come from. So, in fact, one person I did actually say, "You are so negative," and they got super offended. However, the good news is it must have affected them, or they must have let it sink in a bit, because they no longer call me with all the negativity, because it got to be where I love the person, but I would dread being pulled down. Now that person doesn't do it anymore. When you ask someone to treat you in a certain way and they choose not to, they choose to disrespect you and constantly do what you've implied bothers you, then you have to make a decision. You want that person in your life. And I know it's very hard to eliminate people that you care about. That's why I'm saying do it silently or do it without them knowing. Just realize there's certain people that you need to keep at arm's length. I had someone working very closely with me here at my home, and I would ask them to do something specific, and they would defy me and do it another way. It bothered me, but I hadn't thought about what I was going to do about it or say about it. And as it turns out, I'm glad I didn't, because I realize now she didn't understand what I was trying to say. I didn't want to appear that she didn't have a handle on what I was asking. So now that I understand that sheds a whole new light. And I understand that I need to make sure that she or anybody understands what I'm asking. And if they do, and if they choose to disrespect you, then there are boundaries you need to set. You set boundaries in terms of how much you open your heart to them. You set boundaries in terms of what kind of things you say bother you, because they may throw it back at you. So you gotta know each individual in your life kind of wears a different hat. I mean, you have those that you can talk to and pour your heart out and know they won't repeat it. And if you don't have someone like that in your life, I really hope you get someone, because it's wonderful to be able to talk to somebody and know that it's not going to go any further. But if you don't have that full trust, then think about what kind of boundary to set with them. And like I said, silently setting boundaries so people don't really know what you're talking about. I mean, you don't want to go around punishing everybody, but setting boundaries, like I said, in terms of what information you give them about yourself, about your thoughts, about your needs, about your feelings, or who you can share your dreams with. You just have to know each person's individual character and set a boundary from there. And again, I keep referring back to setting it. If you don't want to eliminate this person completely, then the time you spend or the things you say need to be watched until it becomes second nature. Setting boundaries is actually new for me. And looking back in the struggles and hurts that I've had with certain individuals doing certain things that are kind of a pattern and totally lack of respect, that's really what it amounts to. And so if I had known about boundaries, then I would have set boundaries a long time ago, and I wish I had. So it's very important, because you've got to protect your happiness. You've got to protect your goals. You've got to protect your positive thinking. So when you're working on something, when you're excited about something, you don't want anybody interfering with that focus, with that manifestation, with whatever. This is kind of on a different subject, but I've also noticed sometimes I'll be really excited about something and I'll try to share it with a friend. And the way she responds, I pretty much realize that she, or anybody for that matter, is not getting it. And some things I believe are meant to be held inside. Have you ever noticed that sometimes when you have something on your mind and you're excited about it and you want to tell people about it, but you don't, you keep it from yourself, it makes it stronger. Sometimes when you share too much, it weakens it. and it may weaken the manifestation. I'm not sure what it is. Basically, what I'm trying to put across here is that we have our life. We have our peace, our happiness. We have our goals. We have our positivity. We have our manifestation. So we need to protect all that, and we need to watch it carefully. And that goes along with who we allow to bring either positivity or negativity to us. We live in a world where we're surrounded by all different personalities, and that's okay. But you need to be strong enough and care about you enough and love yourself enough. If you are getting feedback that you walk away feeling bad, to realize that is somebody that you can't spend a lot of time with or share certain things with. If it's a person that you work with, you're there to work with them. If it's a friend, realize they're good at a confidant, or they have a tendency to tell what you've told them. Whatever the situation is, handle it appropriately, but protecting your positivity, protecting your joy. I know personally I'm really affected by people around me, and I'm trying to get better at that because I don't want to wake up in a really good mood and say good morning to someone and they're in a grumpy mood, to where I let that kind of start my day off bad. I don't want to let my day, my moment, my anything be affected by somebody else's mood. What it amounts to is they can either come along with you on your ride of joy or not. They have the choice. But it doesn't mean you have to compromise yourself and go back and eliminate where you're at to be at a level with these people. With that being said, I wish you a lot of joy and happiness. So in general, gravitate toward people that make you feel good, so your day is filled with more joy, more happiness, more trust. I'm convinced that sickness, disease, whatever, comes from stress. And so you can either fill your day with stress and negativity, or you can fill your day with happiness. The choice is yours. That's what it is. It's nothing more than a choice. It's amazing in our lives that the blueprint is, and the chart is, we have the choice. It's 50-50. We can choose to live in a dark, negative situation, or be positive and be grateful and let the light shine in. One of the keys to maintaining that is setting boundaries and not letting other people dictate how you are. Or if it's someone who constantly wants you to come down to their level rather than them go up to your level, then you need to figure out, is this a relationship I want to keep? Do I want to keep it at arm's length? Do I want to eliminate it completely? The choice is yours. Sometimes it's really a matter of these people needing to do work on themselves. I'm not saying it's not their fault, but they haven't waken up yet enough to realize that they have a choice also. Now I want to take a minute to talk to you about our own thoughts, our own minds. They can also be as intrusive as somebody that we need to set boundaries with. So have you ever been just sitting there feeling good, and a specific thought will come to your mind, and you stop and think, oh my gosh, I just took away my joy. I mean, it can flip that fast. So you need to also set boundaries within your mind. I know the doctors want me to take this medicine, and I do not want to take it because of side effects. So I'm feeling good, feeling happy, and then I'll think about this medicine and the choice I have to make. and I immediately get into a bad mood. Well, not a bad mood, but it puts a damper on my mood, put it that way. So I think to myself, maybe that's something telling me that I shouldn't take it because of the way it makes me feel. But then again, maybe it's not. So I'm not sure. I'm kind of like on the fence with this one because it's a thought that is affecting my mood. But it's difficult to determine what that mood is saying to me about the medicine. So I'll work on that one. That's one of my little things that I have to figure out. But our minds, in the past, we've talked about ways to put a stop, a limit to bad thoughts. But one of them, if you're new to this podcast, maybe you haven't heard this, but thinking about your past. I know I will be feeling good, be thinking about something, then all of a sudden my mood changes. And I think, what was I just thinking about? And it was something from the past, something that was unfavorable. This is the truth and the reality of it. The past is over. The past is done with. So there shouldn't be any ramifications from the past. There shouldn't be any effect whatsoever on your mood from something that is over and has already happened. If you are still getting that, soon as it creeps in, put a stop on it and eliminate it. I myself, I picture my mind being clear, and when I say empty, I don't mean empty-minded, but what I mean is empty of thoughts that are not serving you. Your mind is there to answer questions that you have at the time. You can look out into the future, but even looking into the future, don't look too far ahead. So in setting boundaries for your own mind, when negative thoughts come to you, and they're just as harmful as getting them from other people, put a stop to it right then and there. Recognize it for what it is, shift gears. And the faster you put a stop to unfavorable thought that your own mind is having, the faster it'll start to do that by itself. I know I shared with you, I think it was last episode, about how quickly we can train our minds. And part of training your mind is teaching it that when a negative thought or a thought that's already passed that isn't favorable to you comes in, you're going to quickly stop it. And then using your mind for what it was given to us for. And that is intelligence. I mean, that's what it's there for. It's to pull out information to help you do whatever it is you're doing. It's not to look back at your past. It's not to live backwards. So with all that being said, let's keep moving forward. Let's train our minds to where they need to be healthy and happy in our lives. And to put people in the category to which you need to keep them to preserve your own happiness, your own emotional well-being. Doesn't mean you have to eliminate anyone, but what it means is you need to be careful who you're letting in and how much you're letting them in. I want to thank you for listening. If you have any questions, comments, stories, whatever, please press the fan mail link just below the description. And I will talk to you next week. Have a great one. Bye-bye.